Hi guys, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. So this is actually a new series that I'm starting. It's called Conversations with Friends. And what I've decided to do is to connect with some of my friends. I have many friends from from various disciplines. Um, and I thought it would be fun to just sort of connect with them, have a conversation, and share that conversation with you folk. I think that there's a lot of really good information. I just checked my conversation with Denise, which is going to be the first show, Conversation with Denise. um, and just an explainer, it's going to start after this short introduction. But what happened is we did it in the middle of a very a big storm that was coming through the area. And so we were going along just fine. And then I lost all my electricity for hours. And so Denise graciously sort of ended the video for me in a lovely way, trying to call me on the phone. I think we lost our power for, I think it was 5 hours or 4 hours, which was a lot. Because we don't generally lose power for too long because we're on the hospital grid. The hospital's just down the street from us, so hopefully the hospital was okay. But so I'm going to put that on, and there will be contacts in below um, in the descriptor if you want to connect with Denise yourself. But if you're enjoying these, let me know because I will continue this series. I think it's going to be very informative and a lot of fun. And if you would be interested in being one of the people that I talk to, you can let me know as well. That would be great. But I'm going to just end it there. And what you're going to see next is my first installment of Conversations with Friends. Show number 1, Denise.
Routine.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here. I'm here at the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center, like I always am. And today I thought we could have some fun and you could meet a friend of mine. This is my friend Denise Roberge. She is she's many things. I'm going to actually let her tell you who she is because, I don't want to get it wrong, really. And I thought, because, we're all sort of in the house, and I just thought maybe I could talk to my friends about some of my experiences. They can talk about their experiences. In the process, inform you and maybe perhaps start a conversation. So Denise, why don't you tell me a little bit, or tell my viewers a little bit about you?
Okay. Well, I would overarchingly call myself a metaphysician. I'm an ordained metaphysical minister, and under that umbrella, I do many things. I teach, I do intuitive healing, intuitive readings. I do energy work, including Reiki. I'm a writer. I'm in the process of writing my first book called The Next Age Paradigm, which is sort of a book for people of the light to help them move forward into this next stage that we are in.
Oh, we certainly are.
Not everyone is there yet, and hopefully this book will help people make the transition a little bit easier. Right. So I do a lot of things, and I do a lot on Zoom now, obviously. Do a lot on. I forgot to mention that I'm a spiritual life coach, and I love that. I love everything I do. I love it. So I'm a happy metaphysician. I think that would be the short way of saying it.
So you're definitely do what you love and love what you do, and you never
Amen.
work a day in your life, right?
When I work, it's a great day. It's the best day. And I want to, first of all, before I go into anything else, I want to thank you for having me on your channel on this special day during this wild whipping storm we're having right now. I've admired you and we've been friends for a long time now, at least 10, 12, 15, I don't even know how many years, really. I don't know,
Right.
but it's been at least 10. And,
Lifetimes, darling, lifetimes.
well, it has been lifetime. It has absolutely been lifetimes. So I'm very honored to be invited. Thank you.
You're welcome. You also marry people, right?
Oh, I do. I
You,
love married
you,
people.
you do you do funerals?
I do end of life celebrations. Some
Yeah.
people call them funerals. Yep. I tend to go more toward the let's celebrate the person's life, but whatever
Right.
people want. One of the things that I'd like to say about weddings and funerals is, yes, I'm legally able to do that. I'm registered and certified and all that kind of stuff. Uh, People that like me to do their weddings and end of life ceremonies are often people that don't have a traditional um, church or a traditional minister or priest or whatever because more and more people do not go to church on a regular basis anymore. So because I'm metaphysical and I'm independent and I'm pan-denominational, meaning I respect and follow the lead of everyone that I work with in terms of their own spiritual preferences or their ethical beliefs or their lifestyles. So
Right.
I've done all kinds of weddings and all kinds of end of life ceremonies that are not traditional. I can be traditional. I've done traditional Christian weddings also, but many of them are a little off the beaten path, and it's really fun.
Well, I think now, as we move into these new paradigms, I think people are just, I think spirituality is a very personal thing. And, sometimes what you're feeling and what you're experiencing and your spiritual experiences don't fit into the box that regular religion, affords us. And
Amen.
so many of us, you and me and many other people probably even watching today, have that experience of not quite fitting in and sort of having to sort of make it up as they go, or sometimes we just borrow from different traditions, and
Oh, I have.
until we can sort of find what resonates, within us. I was raised Catholic. I think you were raised Catholic.
I was
Right?
absolutely raised seriously Catholic. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm more Catholic than you because
Okay.
I no
I'm not going to argue.
story because I was practically born in the church. My mother was an unwed mother living in a convent. She had me in a Catholic hospital, and then I spent my first 11 months of life in a Catholic orphanage. So I'm literally a child of the church. Um,
Wow.
and I was, many people find this hard to believe. You won't, though. I was a Sunday school teacher.
I was too.
Oh, see? And then I became a pagan. I got initiated into Wicca,
Mhm.
and it's just sort of grown from there. And now I wouldn't necessarily not call myself. I like to call myself an uncovered Catholic as opposed to a recovering Catholic, because who wants to cover that up? You want
Yeah.
to uncover, right? And
Yes.
then the Wicca brought another sort of layer, more like the goddess stuff for me. And then it's just been sort of an exploration, a little bit here, a little bit there, just to kind of find out who I am and what my soul's journey is. And of course, like you, I use metaphysical principles, mainly astrology, Kabbalah, numerology. I'm kind of left brain in that respect. So
Well, you're also intuitive as intuitive as they get, as they come. You
yeah,
are not, you don't always use it consciously, but it's always in operation in everything that you do.
yeah. I was talking to another friend, and I was like, sometimes my brain is too big, and I don't let that intuition in. So I have to sort of relax a little bit. I have to be a little bit. Maybe sometimes I even have to be a little overtired before I let that in. Like my left brain just sort of says,
Vicki, I would like to give you a piece of wisdom that you shared with me many years ago, and
"Uh
it learned me well. It taught me well. Get over yourself.
oh, get over my big brain."
Get over it. Yeah. Be all that you are.
So now we're both sort of in quarantine,
Yeah.
self-imposed, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, not self-imposed. Like we're not really supposed to go out except for food and medicine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We
So
are definitely in quarantine. Yes.
yeah, sort of, yeah, self-quarantine. So how have you been handling the uh, because Denise is very empathic. In fact, you have a class, or you used to teach a class on
Oh yeah. I'm a sort of, yeah, well known for my empath work. I've done a lot of writing, a lot of blogs, a lot of articles, a lot of teaching, a lot of classes. I mean, that's one of the things that I had to learn about in order to survive the planet. I had to discover about myself what it was that constantly threw me off center, what I needed to do to keep myself in center, safe, sane, functional, because there were times when my empathic nature would bring me to a place that was very dark.
yeah.
And I've been in very dark places in my life, and learning about how gifted I am has been a long journey. And to understand that all that I have been through is now blessing other people. I'm an empowered empath now. I'm not a suffering empath anymore. I
Um,
am an extreme empath, though.
yes, she is.
I
I
am
will bow
extreme.
to that.
And being one of the things about this particular time, this happens other times as well, but it's very, very predominant right now, is that I'm a transmuting empath, meaning that part of my journey on this planet is to take in the collective emotions, and because I am so connected to all that is, I feel it, I cry about it, I whine about it, I do whatever I have to do to express it, I feel it, and then I figure out a way to turn it into love energy and send it to the universe.
Right, transmute.
Some of this is conscious, a lot of it's conscious now, but I've been doing this my whole life without realizing it. So now when I go into a funk and a mood, and you've seen me, you've seen my mood, plus I get that damn Saturn all over me.
Yes.
I get so much Saturn all over me. It sits on me real heavy sometimes.
Denise is a triple Capricorn.
I sure am.
Yeah. And now with all this energy in Capricorn, it's been a real journey for you.
Oh, it has.
Both on an emotional, psychic, spiritual, and physical level.
Yes. Well, so this period of time isn't just about the COVID virus for me. It's also about recovering from a very, very, very traumatic knee surgery.
Right.
And I had a whole week of being out of my body after the surgery, and I was having visions and hallucinations. I don't know. It's hard to. I wasn't always on this planet during the course. I was on heavy drugs that didn't do well. Didn't do well for me physically, but brought me to places that I needed to visit. So it was pretty exciting in a way, but I was also pissed off. I was so angry at how I was treated in the hospital and how my situation was mishandled. And I've since absolutely forgiven the doctor, and we've had several intimate chats, and I'm over it. But I was transmuting a lot of medical trauma from my own past, probably from other lifetimes, as well as the collective.
Right.
Because let's face it, the medical profession, and God bless you all, I honor all healers, no matter what side of the street you walk on. And this is not to slam the medical profession. That being said, in the medical profession, there are many people that lack intuition, lack heart. They do a job, they do their specific job very well, but they don't understand the whole person.
Well, as a physician myself, trained chiropractor, and the type of work that I've done over the years, it's very touchy-feely. It's not like you're sitting.
You're a lefty health professional, though.
Well, yes.
You're very lefty.
But all the same, you're trained. What's trained is your left brain.
Right.
And your right brain is like, there's people have said to me many times, you should be a medical intuitive. You would be an amazing medical intuitive. I think, in fact, you might have said that to me.
Yeah, I think so.
But I was so trained in the left brain that it's hard for me on some in that respect to trust my own intuition on whether I'm giving somebody medical advice. I have to be really careful about that.
You do. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Everyone, all of us have to be careful about giving medical advice. Anyone that's not a physician needs to be careful about diagnosing and calling yourself any kind of a healer. I don't believe I'm a healer. I believe I'm a facilitator of healing.
right.
And if I keep, as long as
Well,
I keep
that's what
myself
all
humble,
healing is. Even medical
well, it is. But I tell
is a
people that.
facilitator. They're facilitating the physical body. So the meds are there because they're the, we'll call them the, well, they're not, well, they're the experts on the physical body, as are like the acupuncturists and, you
Sure.
know, more ancient stuff. But it's the other, it's like the levels higher than that, that, that the doctors aren't necessary. But I think that's changing. I think that's changing because I think, first of all, more women are getting into it,
Yes.
and we tend to heal from a different place, or from a different, you know, just a different. We have a different. Not all women, and there are men that do it too. So it's not a gender thing
Well, many
necessarily.
women fell into the masculine paradigm,
Well,
and
you have to.
right.
If you want to feed your children and you want to be, you know, a doctor. Some of the best like alternative doctors that I know, MDs, are men.
Mhm.
You know, it takes a lot of chutzpah, so to speak, to go against the grain. It's very difficult. In fact, most great even um, who was it? Lister, who said he was the guy who said you have to wash your hands before you go into the birthing room, because back in the day, women would give birth and they would die of, I think it was called something bed fever. It had to do like, and the reason that they would get that, and I can't remember the name of it, is the doctors would be doing autopsies and then they would go deliver the babies. I
Without
know it's gross. And so this guy said, you got to wash your hands. And so they were
a
losing
brilliant
all this,
man.
right? And he was like run out of the medical profession on a rail. I think he died insane, poor and insane.
Really?
So yeah,
Oh, can you tell me what epic that was? Was it the 1700s, 1600s, 1800s? Do you know?
I think it might have been the
Yeah.
18, no, maybe the 1700s to the 1800s. I don't know
Okay.
exactly.
Interesting.
We can Google that because my
We
brain,
could.
there was a time when I knew that,
Mm.
but my brain has gone in other directions.
Well, I understand that, and so is mine. The one thing that I'd like to say that you and, in a way that you and I sort of complement each other is we're both as gifted as the other in terms of psychic stuff. But I am way behind you on the left brain stuff. I have practically no left brain. I mean, I can memorize. Thank God I can memorize, because I never would have gotten through biology and all the different kinds of sciences and math and stuff like that. It's only because I got extra help and I memorized. It's a real struggle for me to, and it's funny for Capricorn. I know it's kind of odd, but that's how it is.
Well, you
So,
know,
I could do astrology when I watch you doing a class. I'm not going with fifth house, square, trine. I mean, most of those words mean I listen to all the time that I don't really truly understand. But when I hear the words, my soul intuits them, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's not because I know what the words mean. It's because I'm feeling it somehow. And I could be an intuitive astrologer if someone just gave me all the sun and moon sign and you know where the planets are and stuff. I would just go like, and it would come in and I would get it, and then I would be able to. But it's too convoluted. I can't call myself. My mother was an astrologer.
yes.
That's why I love you, Vic. I grew up with astrology in my house, and also with a very empathic, intuitive mom.
Right.
She gave up astrology because she started seeing things, she started knowing things, and she was in a dilemma about whether or not to tell people certain things, information that came up, so she quit it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, you know, that's a struggle for astrologers, but I think it's a struggle for healers and metaphysicians as well. You know, sometimes you get some pretty hairy stuff coming through, and how do you say it to somebody without them getting nervous or you?
Discerning what to say, how to say it, and what not to say is definitely a big part of the job.
Yeah.
And if I feel the need to sort of warn someone about something coming up, I always couch it, and they give it to me. My guides give it to me this way. It's not even work for me, but I almost always say, oh, there's an area in which things could improve for you. And they give me the strategies or the techniques or the ideas that would help a person either avert that problem or at least become aware enough to be, watching for it and have a tool to go to
Right.
when it does happen. So
Right.
I'm definitely a positive thinker. I'm a glasses half full kind of person, and my readings and my life coaching and everything always reflects that. I'm very positive.
Right.
Very, except myself, I'm the one that with myself it's taken a lot longer to become so positive, but I'm
Well,
getting there.
that's your Capricorn. That's your Capricorn. I like to say Capricorns never judge anyone more harshly than they judge themselves.
Very true.
So and there's the responsibility where you feel responsible for everything.
Oh yeah, the whole world is on
Everybody.
our shoulders. Everything's our responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do have my own piece of Capricorn, so I understand that, and I understand where you're coming
I have
from.
Cancer in my south node too, don't I?
No, you actually have Taurus in your south node and Scorpio in your north node. So I'm not surprised you feel things through your body. That's your south node, and then you release them through your north node, which is Scorpio is about transmutation.
Oh, I'm definitely transmuter. In fact, I haven't done much with YouTube. I've done a lot of videos and classes and stuff on Zoom and whatnot, but I haven't actually really worked with YouTube platform. But my first class on there is going to be a class to help empathic transmuters like me. I haven't got it named yet, but
Awesome. Well, you
there
let
are
me
a lot of
know.
people that are doing it that don't know that's what's going on, and they feel like they're going crazy. I want to wrap them in love. I want to wrap them in gratitude and say, God bless you. You're doing some of the hardest work that could be given to any soul on the planet.
Yes.
It's hard work being a transmuter, and it's very painful. And when people can relax into it, like this is what I have to do when I get overwhelmed, and you've seen me overwhelmed and feeling like there's no end in sight. The light, where's the light? I can't find the light. If I just take a minute and stop and say, oh, okay, this isn't about you. This is probably about the nuclear bomb out in Japan, whatever that was. Oh, that was a hard time for me.
North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or it's COVID, or it's,
Right. Yes.
The children of the earth,
you.
all the children of the earth that are suffering. I suffer for all the children of the earth, but I think I was a nun in a former life. The reason I think that is because that's how intensely I feel. I don't know. I feel like I'm a representative for the underdogs here on the planet, and I'm here for them. And most of this work I do to transmute, I don't get paid for this. This is just stuff they drop in.
Right. Right. Yeah. So how has this COVID, how will you I know you've had your own issues with your knee and stuff, but how is the COVID how do you find this moving through you energetically? What are you experiencing? Because there may be people that are watching that are experiencing similar things, and they can't connect it to that empathic part of themselves or
right.
Well,
I've had some days of extreme sadness, extreme teariness, really not able to attend to my to-do list. And I've been taught to slow down. It took me a lot of years to say, some days are just a freaking day off. And there are many days during this COVID thing that I have just had to take a day off. Right. Watch funny movies, dance a little bit. I can't dance really well with my knee, or sing, put music on and sing, or do something like clean a cupboard, something that's just, I have to distract myself from myself.
I think part of that is if we can when you're in that state, or when you're feeling those feelings, or even if you're just watching TV and watching what's going on, it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture that sometimes doing a small task, or cleaning out a cupboard, or finally getting your tax stuff together, or whatever it is, those little things really, or cooking a meal for yourself or your family, I think those are the things that sort of help us to
get grounded and remember that
yeah.
we're on the planet for a reason, and that we are human. Though, as much as I like to think of myself as spiritual, I've had to learn how to be a spiritual being in a human body. That was not natural.
Right.
At times in my life, I didn't understand. It was so dense and so mystifying. Why would someone hurt me? Why? There's no, I don't understand. I don't get, I was like, well, and why was it wrong for me to, well, I won't go into any of that.
No.
Good.
I
did some things in college that pissed people off. People didn't get me. And I'm like, why don't you understand? I just didn't understand so many things. And I'm not a traditional Capricorn. I have been. I grew up a traditional Capricorn.
you have you definitely have the Capricorn, but you also have that Aquarius. And I can appreciate the things that you're saying, because when I was a child, I would just like curl up in the corner and start to cry, and my mother would be like, "What's the matter with you?"
You'd hide in the clam shell, in the
yeah, like the
crab
crib.
shell.
I'd go in the
Yeah.
crib. Yeah, I'd do the crib, and I would just cry. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'd be like, "It's too hard here. Like, why is everybody so mean to each other?" It broke my heart. And then if they were mean to me, and then God forbid if I thought I hurt somebody's feelings,
Oh my God!
it would send me into like a tailspin. And I have to say that luckily I've been able to manage that, and I've taken sort of hold of that and realized that I don't have to feel all the pain of around me. And my especially when I was younger, my feelings were so full of other people's feelings
It's hard to
that
separate it out.
I didn't even know what I felt. Like for the longest time, I would say, I'm not really sure what I feel. And that's coming from somebody who can't help but feel everything.
Right.
Right. So, we've both had that sort of experience of
This COVID virus has also been it has been, I've had days that were really difficult, emotionally painful, and difficult and challenging, and I had to do a lot of stuff to get outside of myself. I have a lot of tools. I have a huge toolbox, a lot of tools, and I've had to pull them all out during this crisis at one time or another. But there have also been days of really huge hope and excitement for the future, because I know what's going on here is that all the old stuff is crumbling, all the old structures, all the old paradigms, all the old people, older people that have been in charge for so long, many of them male, although not all. I know that this is all breaking down. All the systems that no longer work are breaking down. And during this COVID, this is a clearing. This is let's get them all out of here that don't want to be here anymore. Let's get them all out of here that have finished their jobs and are just causing trouble now. No, I mean, this isn't the universe causing this. This is just humanity expanding, and in order to expand, we always have to let go. So there's a whole lot of people through the COVID virus who have chosen to exit the planet.
Right.
And it's their choice to do that because they no longer fit the newer paradigm. They know they're no longer happy being here, or it's just their time, and that's their vehicle.
The other realization or thought that I had was that some people, we're all evolving, we're all raising our vibration, and just because you leave your body doesn't mean you're not still connected, of course.
Exactly.
And you don't have a purpose. And some people have to be on the other side of this, and they're going to raise up. And so we're all, because nobody really ever goes, and we're all.
Well, there is no death. There is no.
Right. It's just it's just change. It's just transformation, right? So I have a thought that everybody has their part to play in this in this experience, and it's a rising of the vibration, and how we react to that, how we respond to that, uh, does does determine how much pain and suffering that we're going to go through. And some people, hey, I've been there. I've chosen to be in pain and to suffer through things until I trusted enough to let go, or I was too exhausted to hang on anymore. And you just let go. And when you let go, it's like, then the whole universe sort of like backs you up and brings you forward to the place that you need to be. And I don't know that much about, moving over to the other side. I never had an experience like that, but I would imagine that that's a similar feeling when you
It's
when
an
you leave the
absolute.
body.
I believe that when we leave this body, when we drop the physical form, we go someplace else, and in the process of that transition, we're like, like, oh, whew.
Right. It's
Like
like,
we leave all the baggage, we leave all the trouble, we leave the turmoil, and we're free of it. And from that freedom, from that aspect of freedom and being in our completed state, and by completed I mean completed from this incarnation.
right.
We're never complete until we merge with the source 100%, which I think there's a whole system. I believe that there are lots of dimensions for people to go through, if they so choose, and it's their soul's choosing. And some people choose to come right back to the planet because they learned so much about something that they have to come back and teach it, or they have to come back and experience other facets of the same issue or whatever. So some people go and they go, whoo, take a little rest, and then they boom back into a body and they do the next thing. We have lots of jobs to do. Our souls are huge and our souls are infinite, and there's so much to do. So when we get to the other side, we get to choose our next mission.
Right.
And sometimes it's about helping the planet. A lot of people, once they transition, what you said, recognize that they're not done yet.
Right.
They're not done helping the planet, or helping certain people, or helping their families, or helping the ones they loved, or whatever. One of the things that I have done a number of times is helping people cross over that get stuck. And I wouldn't call myself an expert on that because it happens spontaneously. I don't even know why it happens. It's just a thing happens. But so they've passed over, but haven't accepted they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They didn't even have a paradigm for it.
Right.
And they were so attached to the planet, and they so resisted leaving the planet that they got stuck. So those people have a lesson, and it's a kind of a blessing to help them. Okay, here I am getting really metaphysical. Am I getting off track? So
No.
okay. Anyway, COVID is helping us, even though we don't feel it every minute of every day. It's helping us as a planet recognize what our priorities are, what we believe in, what we value, how to treat each other, how to respect ourselves and the planet, how to own our crystalline nature, because we are now crystalline. We're not what we used to be, even in our DNA. Everything is different. The bodies are different, and there are people that fight it. And some people take on illnesses because they don't know what it is to be taking on this energy, and they fight it. I'm going to give an example of a person like that. That would be someone that that first initial A.
Okay, go ahead. First initial A.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm okay.
She's trying really hard to anchor things exactly the way she wants them. That's her mission, is to say, no, everything's going to go the way I want it to go. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what this is. Well, she's very focused on maintaining the old paradigm.
Right.
And, she's not happy. She doesn't have a lot of inner peace.
Right.
Because when what we resist persists, what we fear, we magnify.
Right.
So a lot of this COVID journey for me has been recognizing my fear when it pops up, and it has popped up frequently, and trying to kind of identify it, give it a name, or attach it to what, like, a little while, I was deathly afraid to go to a supermarket. I went through this, I can't go to the supermarket, I gotta go to the supermarket, I don't want to go to the, I was resisting going to the supermarket. And I had to work through that. And I had to remember who I am. You know,
Right.
who I am is a
Right.
beautiful, light-filled being, and everyone is. I'm not the only one, everyone is. Light-filled being. I'm so full of light. I'm only going to catch I'm supposed to catch. You know,
Right.
if I'm supposed to catch something, I will. If I'm supposed to catch COVID, I will, even if I'm not around it, you know, even if I think I'm being safe and quarantined and all that. If I'm supposed to catch COVID and it's supposed to take me to the other side, I'm going to catch it. Mostly, I believe in a lot of self-care. That's what I've had to practice a lot during this time.
Yeah.
I've been really vigilant with my eating fresh fruits and vegetables, taking my vitamins and supplements, resting every day. I take an hour at least every day to lay down and either sleep or just rest or meditate or listen to meditation music or whatever it is that I want to do. I've had to learn how to be a human being as opposed to a human doing. And I think that this is one of the biggest lessons from COVID is, hey, smell the roses, people. No, you're not God bless the people that are working. Oh, my heart goes out to them. The pharmacy people and the supermarket people, the post office people and the truckers and the farmers. And God bless the people that don't have the opportunity right now to rest. God bless them. I say God in a very universal way, by the way, I use it in a religious way. It's a very universally loving term for me. So anyway, I bless them and I thank them. And in my heart, that's one of the things that I do too regularly now. Well, I always do this, but it's upped by 100%.
Right.
COVID
The need.
to remember what to be grateful for.
Right.
You know, if I'm feeling sorry for myself, I go, well, wait a minute.
That's right.
You got white privilege. B, you got a home to live in. You got a car to drive. I'm loaded with food. Well, before the surgery, I started kind of collecting food, easy emergency type food, just in case, you know. And then COVID came along. I'm like, oh, I got to get some more. So, you know, I wouldn't go hungry. It would take 2 months for me to go hungry.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm hoarding food. I'm not. But I'm just collecting it along the way.
Right.
What do I have to be less than grateful about? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing for me to be less than grateful about.
Right.
And so when I'm feeling miserable, I do a mental gratitude list. A lot of people write them out, but I also, this is really helpful to me. If I get a little fearful, or real fearful, or I get a little, you know, start obsessing on, one thing that I was doing for a while was checking on the number of deaths from COVID in Massachusetts every day.
Right.
I wanted to know how many people caught the virus every day, were diagnosed or tested, and how many died. I went through this thing for a good week or more. It was one of the first things I did after my spiritual practices in the morning was see how many people were freaking dead in my state. And I'm like, okay, I had to take a look at that. I'm like, what's going on here, Denise? What is going on? Well, for me, it was just, I was trying to measure how much danger there was around me. So I was all focused on the virus and the physical, instead of, and then I went, you forgot who you are for a minute. You forgot you're a soul in a human body, and that you're a light being that happens to be grounded on the planet, and you're going to be directly guided.
Right.
No matter what happens.
Right.
No matter what happens, I'm going to be guided. I'm going to be shown the ways that I need to go in, you know, the direction I need to flow in. And I have to keep remembering who I am and who we are.
Right.
And not only do I have to remember for myself, but when other people get crazy, which is happening, people blasting off on Facebook, like, what the hell's wrong with these people hoarding toilet paper? I just had a baby and I've got no toilet paper. And, you know, I just like blasting off about the people acting crazy and going out without masks. And some people get really mad. I mean, there's a lot of anger out there about people not following the rules. And I understand that. And anger is a valid emotion. There's nothing wrong with anger per se. There is not. The only thing is, anger holds our ability to have inner peace. if we hold it too long. If we feel it, process it, and let it go, then we learn a lesson. If we feel it and hold on to it and don't let it go, then it starts to become a dis-ease of some sort. So,
You know, I'm glad you brought up the theme of anger, because for me, you know, I'm not a really angry person. You've known me for a long time. I'm pretty chill.
you are.
And I have a lot of patience for people, and I let people do their thing, and until it's hurting me, then I draw the line and I say you can't go. Sometimes better than others.
Yep.
Depending on how close the person is. Family is always the most difficult
Oh, yeah.
to do that with. But for me, what I've realized is that a lot of my anger that I have now, and it doesn't really have to do with COVID, but the core of my anger is fear.
Yes.
The core of my personal anger is fear. And when I get really, really mad and start screaming, I know I'm coming from a place where I'm afraid to let go of something.
Right. Good point.
And I think what the anger is for me is a reaction to help push me away from that which I don't want to let go of. Like generally my thing is I get sad. I'm like you. I'm an empath. Things go bad or whatever, I get sad. But I've been really sort of getting to experience that in my life. And of course, my mother has 4 planets in Leo, and my husband is in Aries with a Sag moon, and a Mercury in Aries. He's very fiery. So I have these 2 very fiery energies, and I'm all water.
You are all water.
And it's taken a long time. But the other night I said, I think the fire's finally caught on in me. I think I was like so damp that the water the fire would never take. But now it's like burning so bright, and I do have to be careful that I don't it's such a a new experience for me, really, to get down to the core of this, that like anything, if you're not used to dealing with it, I'm real good at sadness,
Yeah,
but when you're not used to dealing with anger, it can be challenging. And my husband, who's we have a saying, I get sad and he gets mad, right? But that's the nature of water and fire.
Right.
He stops me and says, you have to not get out of control. And he knows all about anger and rage. So, but he's worked with that his whole life. So it's very interesting how that sort of comes up in the different parts of ourselves.
I think that your husband, I think that your husband, what you just said about your husband illustrated a point that I was going to make about, we all at this particular time especially, but all the time hopefully, need to look at people that are angry from the eyes of source. We need to look at them as hurting. We need to look at them as fearful. We need to see that they're doing the best that they can in that given moment. Everyone's doing the best they can at any given moment. And I know if someone were to look at my life and pick me apart for the different times that the best that I could do was not good enough for them,
Right.
It was the best I could do, but it wasn't good enough for them. And if I were to continue to be judged by what I did yesterday or last week or 10 years ago, that would make my life really hard. I would be constantly, I'd be in a defense mode all the time. So I believe that we need to let people be who they are and just not engage. If it's something that's really uncomfortable, ugly, nasty, miserable, whatever, not engage. Just say, sorry you're going through that. And
Right.
walk away. And I do feel sorry that now, I'm at the point now where I don't take things personally as much. Well, hardly ever I take things personally. So if someone blasts off, I just look at them and think, this is a holy, beautiful, light-filled being in front of me that comes from the same place that I do. And they're on the same dense, painful, difficult journey as I am. And wow, they remind me of what I was like when I was 25. Or they remind me of what I was like when I was in between jobs and didn't know where the next paycheck was coming from. If I can find a connection with whatever it is they're going through, I don't have to allow unacceptable behavior, but I can at least find something moving toward forgiveness.
Right.
Even if it's just I understand where they're at. And forgiveness is something that everyone is learning right now, because everyone has their days when they're out of center, out of sorts, miserable, unhappy, cabin fever, um, tired of having their children home all and homeschooling. I mean, there's so many tired mothers out there. God bless them. God has blessed them. The universe blessed them. They're really tired, and they blast off now and then. And I, you know, they may, one of them even sort of started taking jabs at me, and she was a friend, so I was able to say, oh, your life's really hard right now, isn't it? And that completely shifted it. Instead of me going, what? Why are you talking to me that way? You know,
Right.
I didn't even feel that. What I felt was total compassion for this poor woman.
Right.
So I didn't take it, learning how not to take things personally is one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn. And I think this is a big thing right now.
Right.
This is,
And compassion is co-passion. It's
yeah.
like you sit in there, like you understand where they're coming from.
Mhm.
And really that's unconditional love. Is
It is.
compassion and unconditional love.
Another thing that's happening right now is all these energies we're being inundated with energies from everywhere, from the earth,
Yep.
from whatever's lateral to us, all the dimensions laterally and all the dimensions vertically we're being inundated. So some of us take it in and push it through our body and ground it through our feet. Other of us it gets stuck somewhere temporarily. So it might get stuck in the belly, it might get stuck in the heart where people turn cold and shut down, it might get stuck in the throat where people can't say what they need, whatever. It could be stuck and you end up having to go get physical therapy because there's some joint that doesn't work right. It comes out in all different ways because we all can't always process all the energies all the time.
Right.
Sometimes we just have to pay attention to our own bodies, and that's the best thing that we can do during this COVID time, is to take care of ourselves. The heck with everybody else. Take care of me. Take care of me. Take care of you. And in some cases, it's really hard. These mothers are having a hard time. You know, these essential workers are having a hard time. I mean, I send them light every day. I send them light, and every time I have a meal, I bless everyone and everything that had anything to do with that food.
Right.
Every single meal, I say, thank you, Mother, Father, male, female, masculine, feminine, for this blessed meal. And I thank, if it's eggs, I thank the chickens. I thank the farmers. I thank the people that put them in boxes. I thank the people that drove it to the store. I thank the store employees. I mean, I go down a list. I have a 5-minute thing that I do of gratitude for the food. And then at the same time, I'm blessing all the people that brought me the food. So this is how I'm learning how to live. I'm learning how to live from a place of compassion, and COVID has magnified this by 10 times for me and for a lot of us. It's what gets me through. If I can stay in a place of gratitude and love and appreciation, then the hurdles and the tough days I'm more resilient. If I'm doing this work on good days, the tougher days I can get through. I'm like the willow tree, you know, instead of the oak tree. Vicky, where are you? Vicky, what happened? Something technological just happened, and I don't know what. I don't even know if I'm still being recorded. I think I'm going to call Vicky. Vicky, are you here?